صباح الخير والسلام عليكم. Just for the sake of Aji, I'm going to switch to English, so you don't have to use your translation device. Thank you so much. I would like to second motion my congratulations to Dr. Torbey for the good choice. I would also like to thank Wissam, and also I would support what my best friend Sarkis has said about your dynamism. You're a very dynamic person, and I think UAB should be proud of having you as the Secretary General. Thank you. Thank you, Samir, my good friend Samir. Glad to have you here, and glad to have you as the newly appointed. It's been 3 months, right? Okay. Thank you, Sarkis. Thank you for the words you said about me. I'm not sure I'm worthy of your words. Okay. Thank you, Ajay, Greg. Thank you for coming to Lebanon. Thank you all, Dr. Youssef, Bank Control Commission, representatives, colleagues. I'm just afraid I'm missing anybody out here, so you need to excuse me for that. Okay. Dr. Torbey, that was the first thing I said.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Well, Dr. Torbey, congratulations, yes. Yeah. Thank you again for inviting me to be, at the opening, and very, very happy to see some all good faces like Osama Fekhouri, that he and I went to grammar school. We were little kids there, Mu'tasim. It's a beautiful event for me. Okay. Samir, you spoke a lot of things about, what ought to be done and the like. Okay, so let me just be a little brief on the subject of today, of the coming few days. Okay. The traditional role of the central bank, Banque de Lebanon, that's BDL, okay, is leading the prudential, monetary, and banking policy, which I believe, in my opinion, that's predicated on 4 pillars, which are maintaining a stable currency, which has been the case for 20 years or so, and promote sustainable growth. Okay, that's nicely said. Preventive regulations, preserving the financial integrity of the banking sector, and promoting good governance. I don't want to dwell on how to maintain a stable currency. That's not the subject of this event. Okay, we all know the Bank de Lebanon intervention in the foreign exchange market and trying to stabilize or keep the interest rate in a stable mode. Of course, Dr. Torbey mentioned, and we all in Lebanon take pride in preventing the financial crisis from hitting Lebanon. Okay. Partly, we owe it to you, bankers. You were prudent, and with all, humility, that the central bank has always been leading a preventive policy in making sure that the banking sector is safeguarded against any internal or external shocks. We all know about the attention of Bank de Lebanon to capital, liquidity, asset quality, provisioning, setting up financial stability unit, giving a lot of attention to corporate governance, including setting up a financial stability unit at Bank de Lebanon, the corporate governance unit, and there's in the pipelines. ABL, that's Association of Banks of Lebanon, and Bank de Lebanon are working together to come up with a sort of workshops for board members of banks in Lebanon. Hopefully this will bear fruit in a relatively short time. I don't want to mention about what the Bank Control Commission has been doing in terms of stress testing and the like on countries where branches or subsidiaries of Lebanese banks exist, like Cyprus, Syria, Egypt, Jordan. I think the Bank Control Commission has done a beautiful job, along with Banque de Lebanon, in preventing any trace of negative or adverse impact of the Greece problem hitting Lebanese banks. Lebanese banks are not exposed to any sovereign Greek risk in this regard. Of course, Banque de Lebanon is one of the priorities has set for itself is preserving the financial integrity of the banking sector. And when we talk about safeguarding the banking from some major risks, in my opinion, which go beyond capital adequacy or liquidity and the like, I basically mean the integration of Lebanon or our banks into the international community with respect to anti-money laundering and terrorist finance. This has been the priority of the central bank for so many years, okay? Let alone the enactment of Law 318 that came out in 2001 and the setting up of the Lebanese Financial Intelligence Unit, that's the Special Investigation Commission, which has been doing a great job. Lastly, I must mention to you, I'm sure you must have read the news that Mr. Abed Mansour, our Secretary General of the Special Investigation Commission, has been named as the Vice Chair of the Eggman Group. That's a confirmation of the SIC achievement in the combating of money laundering and countering terrorist finance. Lebanon is also a member of the newly established group, which is called CIFG. That's the acronym for Combating Daesh or ISIL, Combating ISIL, Daesh, finance group. This group consists of 26 countries, and Lebanon is representative. I have the honor to represent Lebanon at this group. And this is co-chaired by each of Saudi Arabia, Italy, and the United States. So far, the group has met twice, once in Rome and once in Jeddah, and expectedly the group will meet sometime in September in Washington. So it's kind of rotational. It's not an easy task at all. It will be a long time around, okay? Because if history is of any good indication, I think ISIS or Daesh will stay with us for a long time to come. Okay, I'm judging from reading history of the Middle East. If you go back in history, so we have Al-Khawarij, the Kharijites, we have the assassins or Hashashin and the like, and recently we have Al-Qaeda. Al-Qaeda is still around with us since at least the 70s. So this we need to be honest about it and deal with the issues on the ground. Okay. So Lebanon is committed to the fighting of or countering terrorist finance, and the CIFG is one of those efforts. Also, Lebanon was instrumental in providing the impetus for setting up the MENAFATF, that's the Middle East North Africa Financial Action Task Force, and personally I had the honor to preside over the MENAFATF on the onset of this group back in 2005. A central bank also plays a non-traditional role, which is not so traditional for any central bank. Basically, most of us, maybe I'm not sure about our guest here, Ajay or Craig, the central bank has come up with many incentive programs to spur the economy. Okay, so through giving out soft loans at soft interest rates through banks to some sectors of the economy like ecology, housing, and the like. And this has contributed to 50% of the growth in the GDP of Lebanon, albeit very anemic growth. We say it's 2%, something like that. Okay. Now, the challenges that we are faced with as central bank, as banking sector, as Lebanon, as a country, okay, are many challenges. Dr. Turbay touched base on the political outlook of, or the current political events in the region. Lebanon is part of this region. It's not isolated. Thanks God, so far, we've been enjoying relative peace in Lebanon. We can still go around, enjoy. Beirut is still considered to be party town or partying town. Okay, so Greg and Ajay Hope Sarkis will be a good host for you because he's partly Lebanese. He'll take you around. I'm not sure either. Okay, but he's a good man. So we have relative peace in the area, but we need to be honest about, looking at events and trying to be very preventive, very preventive. We as central bank, we consider ourselves to be preventive. You too, banks, but my message is really for the politicians. Okay. Unfortunately, the political setup in Lebanon is not functioning. And I'm speaking for myself. I'm not speaking for anybody else. I'm not speaking for the central bank, so I'm not committing anybody. So this is my opinion, but that's my honest opinion. The country is not functioning properly. We do not have president. We have not had the president for the past, I have to look at the Safir because they keep counting days. It's 300, I don't know, it's 400 days. It's over a year. Lebanon has been without a president for the first time ever, for such a long time. We do not have a functioning parliament, nor do we have a functioning government. The bright spot is the central bank and the banking sector. But we need to be wary that we're not an island. Let's not kid ourselves. We're not an island. So in the long term, if these things persist, I don't think it's going to bode any well for us. I have to be honest about it. And that's Baasiri speaking, not the central bank. So I'm not committing anybody. You know what? I learned something. If somebody lives to be 100 years old, that's 36,500 days. So life is short. So speak up your mind. If you don't speak up your mind, you're not going to come up with the solution. So proper diagnosis is a prerequisite for any solution. Proper diagnosis. That's my diagnosis. So the economy is a big challenge for us. How to move the economy forward. It's a big challenge. Last night I was invited to one of those iftar events, okay, because my wife was a co-organizer, so I had to oblige. That it's not that I enjoy, but I had to go. And I was so saddened. That was in downtown Beirut. I was so saddened to see the place empty. The whole area was empty except for where we had the iftar dinner, which wasn't a good iftar dinner anyway. We had the cold soup supposed to come in like hot soup. It was cold. So it's very sad. Look around you. Okay, I'm not trying to paint a bleak picture, but I concur with what Samir has said. One of the things that we need really to put pressure on politicians is at least to have the pending laws that were forwarded to government and parliament by the central bank to move forward. We have 4 pending laws which are, I think, very crucial for the health and integrity and safeguarding of the health of the banking sector. Cross-border cash, amending the governing anti-money laundering financing law 318, the tax info sharing, okay, and ratifying or signing of the UN 1999 Convention concerning the suppression of terrorist financing. Those are the pending laws, and they need to be enacted by Parliament. I know I don't want to just generalize on politicians, but in general, I look at this kind of situation, those are not moving yet, and they need to move. They are very crucial for the health of the Lebanese banking sector. One of the main challenges that I think is very important as well is de-risking. De-risking, which means maintaining good relations with our correspondent banks in the EU, in the United States, somewhere else as well. Okay, I was in New York maybe like a month ago, and I visited with some money center banks in New York City, Morgan Chase, and the Bank of New York. Okay. Now those banks also, we're very impressed by the visit made to them by ABL, that's the Association of Banks in Lebanon, because those banks need to get assurance. We live in a high risk jurisdiction or high-risk region. So you need to keep reaching out and be honest about what the problems you have, okay? And the best thing for me just to suggest for all of us here is to keep this dialogue going on, okay? I can tell you for sure that Lebanon, and let me speak for the central bank, and Dr. Torbey can speak for the banks, but if you allow me, Dr. Torbey, to give my impression of the banks. Banks in general, I'm saying, I'm not making any specific cases here, but in general, and the central bank are highly committed to integrate within the international community in combating money laundering and terrorist financing. We have every keen interest to do it. It's not a matter of choice, it's a matter of our interest, okay? And thanks God that the central bank issued the famous circular, which I call very famous 126, which calls on banks to respect the regulations, including sanctions, of jurisdictions and countries of correspondent banks. So it's not only respecting the UN Security Council resolutions, but also sanctions of the US, of the EU, because we have every interest in respecting that. And the central bank and the banks do respect that. One last thing I would like to advise you, and I call on Wissam, really, who's been working very hard towards that objective and continue doing that. We're planning a major event in New York, hopefully New York. I'm not sure when, but definitely it's going to be between October and December of this year, which is part of the U.S. MENA Private Sector Dialogue, which I have the honor to chair, okay? And the UAB has been doing instrumental role in it. Dr. Torbey is very much committed to it, so is Wissam. So if this happens, and I think it will happen, we're gonna call on you. UAB will send out the invitation to you, and I really think you must be there on the highest level possible, and we're calling U.S. banks to be there on the highest possible level, and the regulators from Lebanon, and the Arab world, not only Lebanon, the Arab world, the MENA region, and the U.S. to be there. It's a very nice platform and vehicle for two sides to share things and discuss things and debate things so that we can reach a common objective. Thank you so much for listening.